Peter King, kind enough to call in, fresh off yet another must-read Football Morning in America piece on NBCSports.com and from Pro Football Talk as well. How are you, Peter?
Hey, Rich, blessed are the imaginative ones, because if you had told me Aqib Talib would have been either the or one of the star analysts of this year,
Yep.
I might have thought that's intriguing, but I'm not sure I would have believed you. The same way that, putting Steve Kornacki on the big board to do playoff projections the way he does the Electoral College, it was great by NBC. But, look, Aqib Talib, I was watching the game yesterday, and I said, this guy isn't just good. He's fun.
Yep.
And he is exactly like sitting next to a guy at a bar who really knows what he's talking about and just blurts out whatever he thinks.
Well, and if you've ever watched a game with a former player, and I've been so fortunate to do that for damn near 2 decades at NFL Network, although this year, with the pandemic, I haven't watched games with anybody except my family at home.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it sounds like. I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Right.
A player basically giving you the unvarnished truth about what's going on the field and what he's thinking, and also seeing pre-snap stuff, analyzing post-snap. I thought he was tremendous, and that's one of the many reasons why I want to have him on. That and ask him who makes his suits. I can't wait to ask him that question. I mean,
that's one of the great suits in broadcast history.
Agreed.
It really is. It was utterly great.
Excellent. And I'll be talking with Aqib later on in hour number 3 here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about Peter. I mean, oh gosh, how do the Eagles turn back to Wentz? Period. Right. I mean, I know that's a total knee-jerk reaction after just 2 starts, but does Jalen Hurts have it or what, man? I mean, that's a fact.
He has it. And, last week at the top of my column, I talked to Lincoln Riley about him, and he said something to me that, that you sort of don't realize until you really give his story some thoughts. Who has ever been so set up to step into a situation like Philadelphia? Who better than Jalen Hurts? I mean, think about it. You're coached by Nick Saban. You're benched by Nick Saban. You are you get a second life with Nick Saban. You lose your job again in Nick Saban's scheme, and you've got to transfer, and you've got to prove yourself all in 1 year. And he does that, and then he goes to Philadelphia. He's supposed to just be this forgotten piece. And look what he does. But I mean, I just think it's perfect. And Rich, there's one other thing about this and I realize everybody wants to kill Carson Wentz, and for a lot of different reasons, I get it. But the one thing that I think people forgot when he was drafted is that, Howie Roseman didn't just look at this as the prospect of, hey, getting a really good player on our team. The backup quarterback on your team, if he has to play, becomes a top 5 important player. So people like Howie Roseman, who I think are really smart about this, basically say, why wouldn't we use the 53rd pick in the draft when we have a team where the quarterback has been hurt and couldn't finish 2 seasons already, and we don't want our season to be over, when the quarterback gets hurt. And so, look, all in all, a really good pickup by the Eagles. And I think, who knows? It's only been 2 weeks, but 2 more weeks like this, and I think they got to look for a market for Carson Wentz, and there definitely will be one.
And the interesting aspect is, conflicting reports as to whether Wentz wants out, which would be a remarkable situation because that's exactly what Jalen Hurts refused to do when he lost his job in college. It is just amazing, this story, how it is playing out, how Hurts got to this point, as you pointed out, and now where Wentz goes from here. What do you know about this and whether it matters about trade value and things like that? Because, again, Hurts has totally sent a jolt through this team that we were wondering if Wentz was able to provide for 3 months, Peter.
Yeah. I thought By the way, I thought Bucky Brooks had a great tweet yesterday. He said, being a quarterback on an NFL team is not a lifetime appointment. Carson Wentz is ticked off the way it was handled. Wah, wah, wah. I mean, I think everybody in Philadelphia is ticked off the way he played. But anyway, however that does turn out, I think the one thing about what is next is what the market is. And, last week I talked to two people who I thought might be in the market for a quarterback this coming off season. And there's definitely some interest. Now, one or more of these teams, one or both of these teams could actually pick a quarterback in the draft. The great accelerator on this, Rich, is that it's got to be done in the middle of March because, A, he's got a $10 million bonus coming on the third day of the league year, and B, his money next year becomes guaranteed if he's still on the team the third day of the league year. So the Eagles have got to have a meeting of the mind with him probably no later than about February 15th or 20th, so that if they do feel that they have to move him, they've got time to generate whatever that would be. And the good thing for the Eagles to force them to do this then is that you're going to force a team before they might be ready they might have their draft board together. Like, who do you want? You want to trade for Carson Wentz and pay him a lot of money, or do you want to draft Trey Lance and bring him in on a rookie contract for 4 years? That's a bunch of these teams are going to have that sort of issue.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show, and then Hurts' next two games are de facto elimination games because here we go, man. We've got the Dallas Cowboys, who are the only team in that division to have won yesterday. They're still not out of it, and you could say Philadelphia, they win out, they still have a shot. I know I saw Kornacki saying that Washington's probability to win, but Haskins finally did begin to get some traction towards the end of the game against Seattle, but this thing is totally wide open, and Philadelphia could win this thing at 6-9-1. That's an entire possibility right now, Peter.
It's a vague possibility, but you're right. They still have something to play for. I think the odd thing, whatever happens in this division, that I think that everybody needs to look at is that all of these teams have major surgery to do. It isn't like they're all going to show up next year and oh yeah, Dak Prescott's back, we're going to be okay. Philadelphia says, whoever our quarterback is, don't worry, we'll be okay. The Giants have major needs on that team, as does obviously Washington. They need a long-term quarterback. So that division, this is not like a mulligan year,
right?
In that division. This is a division that truly does stink. And is going to need some major surgery in this offseason.
Well, and interesting enough, Ron Rivera could clinch the division against his team that let him go in Carolina. That's an interesting Week 16 narrative when we start looking a little bit more over the steering wheel. I got Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. 2 Saturday games with Aaron Rodgers taking care of the first half of business and then saying it was kind of a disappointing win because Carolina made a game of it towards the end on Saturday. And then, my God, is Josh Allen just bringing his A game and coming for everybody's soul right now. The Bills, the way they're playing, are you buying them as a shot, as the best chance to beat the Chiefs if they see each other on
That's
an AFC championship?
That's a great question. If I had to pick a team right now that I think has the best chance to beat Kansas City in the AFC, I'd either pick Buffalo or Tennessee. I think they're both capable. I mean, Tennessee now is so explosive and has the ability to do what Bill Parcells' Giants teams used to do, just possess the ball for 35, 37 minutes and just wear teams down. And they've got 2 very explosive receivers. So that's a dangerous, dangerous team. And then obviously the Bills, the amazing thing is I wrote in my column, I mean, think about this, Rich, that, the Buffalo Bills right now have, I think, 79 players under contract, active practice squad IR, okay? 2 of them were there the day that Sean McDermott walked into the building on January 15th, 2017. That's less than 4 years ago. This is an expansion team with a really good quarterback. That's what the Bills are. And it's just amazing the job that McDermott and Brandon Beane have done.
Interesting you say those 2 teams, Peter, because I had NFL Network research look it up because I'm wondering. Josh Allen and Ryan Tannehill are the first pair of quarterbacks to throw for 200 passing yards in a game, run for 2, pass for 2, and both win on the same weekend. We've never seen that before in the NFL. So both of these teams have got quarterbacks that are hot, and both of these teams are teams that we assume Kansas City is going to see moving on. I got Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show, and it does look like there's going to be a high-quality team, if not a 10-win team, that even in the expanded playoffs of the 7th seed is going to miss it out in the AFC. Who do you think that team might be over the next 2 weeks, Peter King?
I don't know. When I saw Kornacki's percentages last night and with Baltimore having an 83% chance to make the playoffs, the team you got to zero in on really is Miami because of the difficulty of their schedule. And, the big question is, I think the Bills would say we're going to play, but are the Bills going to play that last weekend of the season if it doesn't matter? When I say are they going to play, are they going to pull for instance, Baltimore last year where they rested like 5 starters, including Lamar Jackson?
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know how Josh Allen is feeling physically. He appears to be fine. But you look at this team, and, if Miami has to go to Buffalo and win the game, and Buffalo is playing the game for seeding or whatever, I mean, that's going to be a really tough game for Miami to win. I'm not saying they can't win it, but it might come down to that. And but again, I think the sad thing is, the really, really sad thing is that I think Miami could beat almost anybody on the right day, and especially if Tua plays an efficient game because their defense is that good.
And then I guess the last one for you, Peter, is what to make of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers comeback. Is it just the usual that Brady is Atlanta's daddy? But that second half had nothing to do with the past. It had to do with Fournette coming alive and Antonio Brown going deep and Brady making his throws to Gronk and everyone else. He was spreading it around. He did look this looked great. I mean, I got to tell you that second half looked great. Do you think? I guess that's the $64,000 question, that this is it finally for Tampa, that second half?
Rich, I mean, Tom Brady against an aggressive defense threw for 320 yards in the second half, threw for 320 yards in one half of football. And you look at that and you just say, okay, is finally the light bulb gone on for everybody in Tampa? But Brady said something really interesting after the game. We don't have 4 footballs. Some days people are going to be happy. Some days they're not going to get the ball. And so I don't know who he was talking about. Maybe he was just talking generically, but I kind of thought that maybe he's talking about Antonio Brown in there because clearly, Brown had not been getting the ball as much as he wanted to. And Antonio Brown still obviously is a great, great talent. But, Rich, I think the Bucs, I'm not saying they're boom or bust, but there's no question to me the Bucs can make a run. And because even if they have to go to Green Bay, I mean, Tom Brady has won some frigid games in his life, many of them, in fact. And he would not be that much affected by having to play in 11-degree wind chill with the wind blowing sideways. But again, I think they could do it, but I also think they could be one and done because that's what the Bucs have shown this year. I don't think that just because they played great yesterday, they got it now. They're all set. They've been a very good team at times, but they've also been a very disappointing team at other times, and not just offensively. For a team with that much talent on defense, they've given up some big days on defense too. So if there's one mystery team, I think, in the league right now, they would be that mystery team to me.
Peter, you're the man. Have a great Christmas. Have a great holiday season. Let's talk on the other side of the calendar.
Sounds great, Rich. Really appreciate it. You have a good day.
Right back at you. That's Peter King. Check out his Football Morning in America column on NBCSports.com, ProFootballTalk.com. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.